they're dry. You see there's no marrow in the bone. You see they're scattered all over the valley. They ain't even full skeletons. I mean, the bones are scattered all over the valley. They're just bones. But answer me a question, Ezekiel. Can these bones live? Ezekiel answers the only way he knows how to answer. Lord, you know. Critical race theory was born out of critical legal theory. Am I teaching y'all something today? There emerged two common beliefs linking all critical race theories. First, white supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's just a fact. How in the world are you going to fight against that being taught in any school? White supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's a fact. Why don't you want that to be taught in school? You let your schools teach us that Columbus discovered America. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that George Washington couldn't tell a lie. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that some slave owners were beneficent and good slave owners. There were no good slave owners. Anybody who owned people was evil. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that Abraham Lincoln was good for Negroes. No, Abraham Lincoln was trying to save the Union. And Abe Lincoln himself said if he could save the Union and keep black people in chains, he would do it. That's a lie. Come on, somebody. You let them teach us about a white Jesus. You let them teach us that Native Americans were the aggressors. Come on, somebody. That white folk had a manifest destiny and that the pilgrims were good and Native Americans. That's a lie. All day, every day, you let them teach us lies. All throughout my history in school, I was taught lies. But you got a problem with critical race theory because it teaches the truth that white supremacy has subordinated black people and people of color. The right to bear arms. Let me just back up a little bit and let me take you on back to the late 1960s when Ronald Reagan was the governor of California. And they were oppressing black folk, and a group of men and women known as the Black Panther Party decided that they were going to defend the rights of black folk. And the Black Panthers decided that the Second Amendment wasn't just for white folk. So they strapped themselves with guns and showed up at the Capitol in California. And when they saw them Negroes with guns, come on, somebody. That's why I say if you ever really want to get gun laws changed, just strap all these Negroes up. They'll change them laws before the week is over. When the Black Panthers, watch this, I want you to read, the California legislator passed what was called the Mulford Act. It was a gun control act that decided who could get guns, who couldn't get guns, what could be in your background, what couldn't be in your background. It was the first time in history that the National Rifle Association, the NRA, supported restrictive gun legislation, all because black folk had the nerve to get strapped. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, go get strapped. Amen, somebody. Y'all gonna say Bishop told us to get strapped. I said it. Go get strapped. It just got real quiet up in here. But y'all already know I'm a triple P. Amen. Y'all know what a triple P is, right? A pistol packing preacher. Amen, somebody. Thank you, Jesus. Lodabar. Your work's not done just because you made it to the palace. Bless the name of the Lord. But you've got a responsibility to help somebody else make it across. Thank you, Jesus. Don't pull up the ladder because you climbed to the top. Don't blow up the bridge because you made your way across. Thank you, Jesus. But reach your hand back down the ladder and pull somebody else up out of Lodabar. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. That's the name of the Lord. Somebody got to tell themselves it's all right if you got it now. Just hold it for me. I'll be there to get it after a while. Oh, bless the name of the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. You've got to make up in your mind that what God has for me, it is for me. I might not have it right now. 90.7 WTCC. Good morning and welcome to the Spoken Word. I'm your host, Bishop Talbert Swan II. And as always, I'll be telling it like it is through cultural idioms and nuances that shape the order, ethos, and chaos of the African American experience. Words have their own vitality. They shape their own consciousness and create their own context for interpreting social and spiritual reality. The spoken word contains the power to reshape the landscape of society. 2 minutes past the hour of 9 a.m. I want to thank my friend, Mr. Kenneth Barnett, for bringing us up until the 9 o'clock hour with the promise. You can hear the promise every Monday morning from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., bringing you the best in gospel music. A good way to start out your Monday morning, a great way to start out your week. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been with you. Last Monday, I was on vacation, so I wasn't celebrating the 4th of July. I wasn't celebrating the farce of July. Okay? I was on vacation with my family, and so we didn't do the show. We didn't do the spoken word, and we didn't do the after show, Justice and Flow. We were on the island of Martha's Vineyard. Had a wonderful time with my wife and my babies and my siblings and relatives, but we're back, and of course hit the ground running. Everybody in my household is hitting the ground running today, and so we're back in the saddle. I didn't get a chance to talk about Jalen Walker's murder. Jalen was a member of my denomination of the Church of God in Christ, belonged to a very prominent church in the Akron, Ohio area, pastored by a colleague of mine. He and I actually sat on the Diversity Leadership Council of the American Heart Association together, Pastor Robert DeJournette, and it's a tragic incident, tragic, and of course, all of the chatter around it, most of your usual suspects, all your pro-lifers are out here justifying his murder. He ran from police. Yeah, so did his name slips me right now. One of them 3 name guys, Robert Aaron Long.
the white guy who went around Atlanta shooting up people in spas, murdered 8 people in 3 different spas. He ran. He led the police on a high-speed chase. Okay, and see, that's the hypocrisy of these folks. They always have one standard for black people, a different standard for everybody else. Okay, he led them on a high-speed chase. He had all kinds of weaponry, yet they used a tactical maneuver to stop his vehicle and arrest him without firing 90 bullets. Okay? They didn't fire 90 bullets at Robert Aaron Long. But Jalen shouldn't have ran from police. Right? They couldn't use the same tactic they used on Robert Aaron Long, right? Y'all always got an excuse. Anyway, we're going to get into it. Tell somebody Bishop is on the air. We're going to talk about why black men run from police. The simple reason is they murder us. Okay? They murder us over broken taillights and stuff. Tell a friend, tell somebody the Bishop is on the air right now. Okay, I am on the air right now. We about to get into this conversation. We're going to talk about it. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, share, do all of that stuff. Please, ma'am, please, sir. Like, subscribe, share, rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're chiming in from, okay? Come on. Hit me up with your city, with your town. Let me know where you are chiming in from. Let me see who we got on here. Good morning. Marilyn is in the house on YouTube. K.A. Pullings, good morning to you. I shouldn't be calling names because then, I'm going to get in trouble. Good morning. Yes, it was an execution, Jacqueline Bass. Rep your city, rep your town. Springdale, Maryland is in the building. Come on. Somebody is in Oakboro, North Carolina, Union County, New Jersey, Tallahassee, Florida is in the house. Good morning, Carmen and Katura. My grandbabies are saying hey to Papa. My daughter Whitney from the Chi-Town is in the house. Good morning. Cape Town, South Africa is up in the building right now. Okay, Zimbabwe is in the house. Welcome. Enfield, Connecticut, Jacksonville, Florida is up in the building. Wisconsin, I don't know what part of Wisconsin, but I guess they repping the whole state of Wisconsin is up in the building. Them Carolinas is in here. Philadelphia is up in the building this morning. Good morning. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Niger is in the building. Neenah, Wisconsin. Brandywine, Maryland is in the building. Springfield, Massachusetts, y'all better be in the building. Harlem, New York City is in the house. Good morning. Baton Rouge, Louisiana is up in here today. Good morning to everybody in here. Okay? Tell somebody the Bishop is on the air. Okay? Share, like, subscribe, all that stuff. We're coming right back and we're going to get into this conversation on the other side of a little music break. Haters ain't invited to the cookout. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
Hey, I'm with the bros. Circle so small that it's closed. And I'm still rolling on the road to riches. Still I got a long way to go for I'm finished. Hey, so I gotta handle business. Hey, but sometimes I gotta kick it. Murder beats cause I'm tryna make a killing. Want beef in my city, they be grilling. Still making songs in the basement. I know I'm nice, but I can't get complacent. I know my time coming, I gotta be patient. Forget the club, I got the backyard shaking. Hey, and I'm sipping cold, corona, no virus. For the ones gone, a moment of silence. With the gang, and we gon' get ignited. You can't get invited. Why? Haters ain't invited to the cookout. For that bad energy, we on the lookout. You gon' get right back what you put out. All that negativity is getting took out. It's a party. I ain't driving, I'm riding shawty. I'm just vibing with everybody. Sip Bacardi, puff on the Molly. Let's get it started, ayy. Don't kill my vibe. You're a kid, Mad City, but I'm still alive. With the guys, so you know we fucking get it live. I be low, but I be high, I be in the sky. Wanna know when I'ma stop, probably when I die. But I'ma live forever. Every day I take another breath, I'm getting better. With the fellas, it's a vibe when we get together. Cause every day we on the grind, trying to get some cheddar. We in the backyard, but you come around here trying to act hard. I got people who I know and have my back, dog. I just gotta say the word like a flashcard. I didn't blow, but they treat me like a rap star. Cause they believe in me. The people that you see with me, they gon' eat with me. Be back outside with it, it's a situation. If you ain't real, don't be waiting for no invitation. Why haters ain't invited to the cookout? For that bad energy, we on the lookout. You gon' get right back what you put out. All that negativity is getting took out. It's a party. I ain't driving, I'm riding shawty. I'm just vibing with everybody. Sip Bacardi, puff on the Molly. Let's get it started, ayy.
Good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. All of y'all that are up in the building. Twitter Spaces. This is I Like What I See by Rhonda Swan. Tell somebody Bishop is on the air. Let's get it.
Black woman staring back at me. One who's seen a lot of pain and had her share of sorrow, but who never gave up hope for a brighter tomorrow. I've been lied to, cheated on, and stolen from and hit, but it just made me stronger and I refuse to quit. That's right. And though I've been tempted, I refuse to stoop to their level. Don't go down, I rose above that nonsense and made a liar of the devil. All right now. The devil who said I wasn't good enough, cute enough, or worthy of love, I kicked his butt with divine power from above. Power that says I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me, and brought me out of darkness so that I could see that I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm a child of the King. Abundant love for me, He came to bring. Oh yes, when I look in the mirror, I love what I see. She's looking good. That strong, beautiful black woman, that woman is me.
All right, 90.7 WTCC, 913 in the city. Somebody said I'm black and have never ran from police. Good for you. I'm glad that I haven't either. But I've been at gunpoint 4 times and never fit the description they claim that I fit. Okay? Don't get me started. Don't get me started. You think your individual experience is universal? Come on, man. Stop it. In any case, tell somebody the bishop is on the air right now. Rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Coming up at 1:30, our State House update with Senator Eric Lesser. We normally do that on the first Monday, but because the first Monday I was on vacation and not on the radio, we pushed it off until this Monday. Michigan is in the building. Definitely rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Somebody said, Canty B on Instagram said, a brain is wired to run in immediate danger. It's a reaction. Yeah, and so you have to understand um, why black men feel that they are in immediate danger when they encounter police. Okay, There's a rationale for that. They're just not running. Listen, Walter Scott ran from police, and he was only pulled over for a busted taillight. He didn't run from police because he had a busted taillight. There was something else in his mind that told him he needed to run from police. Okay? Liberia is up in the building. Good morning, Liberia. Milltown is in here. Somebody is representing New York. I guess you representing the whole state. Somebody else representing Michigan, the whole state. I guess anyway. Um, um, listen, 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 listen. Tensions are high. Um, Listen, I held my son back. My son, we just got back from vacation, and my 22-year-old son, who is a senior at University of Massachusetts, he's an architecture major. Um, he was going to be headed back yesterday up to campus because he works there on campus, and he had to go back to work today. I held him off from going back to work today because we noticed the inspection sticker on his car was expired. And it's not that getting pulled over for an inspection sticker is a big deal. Um, the most he can get is a small fine for that. But I don't want him to have an encounter with the police, period. I'm not so much worried about the reason he could get pulled over. I'm worried about him getting pulled over, period. So I told him not to go to work because we're going to go and get that car inspected today first. I don't want to give the police a reason to pull my son over because I know that even being pulled over for an inspection sticker can be deadly to a black man in America. That's the real reality that we live. That's what we live. Now, if I was a white father of a white young man, I'd tell him, boy, go on and go to work. We'll get that inspection sticker taken care of later this week. Because I wouldn't be worried that if he got pulled over, that it could turn dead. I have to worry about that as a father to young black men. And I worry every day about my son being out in the real world because of what could potentially happen. Um, 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 so, when the reality is, white folks get pulled over by police, hey, officer, they don't feel the tension that we do. When we get pulled over, tensions are high, adrenaline is rushing. Because in too many cases, black people have lost their lives during police encounters. And so I understand why Jalen Walker led police on a car chase. I understand why he ran on foot. What I don't understand is why 8 officers, 8 officers emptied their clips, fired 90 shots at him. 90. And this is for all of you all who keep trying to justify this. He shot at police. They thought he still might have a gun. Watch the video. Go to my Instagram page. Go to my YouTube page. Watch the clip that I posted of them firing on him while he was on the ground. They had already shot him multiple times, and he's helplessly down, and they're emptying their clips while he's on the ground. That was an execution. That wasn't, I feel threatened. That was an execution. 60 gunshot wound. And here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and enemies. It's the terror of knowing that no matter what you do, it may not end up well. So stop with all of the, if you just comply. Tell that to Philando Castile, who was complying and still got murdered by police. Okay, so whether black people comply, whether they run, whether they stand still, whether they put uh, their hands out in the air, whether they tell the police what they have in their car and they tell them, I'm reaching for my license and registration, they can still wind up getting murdered. Let's just keep it a buck. Let's just keep it a buck and stop playing with me with all of this just comply stuff. Let me play. I need to play this before I bring on the senator. I gotta at least play. Um, y'all need to see. Uh, I put up a video just to show you um, the disparity with which black people and white people are treated. I need you to see. I need you to see this video. I need to see this video of a white woman in Walmart in Summerfield, Florida, who comes into the Walmart with a brick and gets a knife once she's in the Walmart. And then what she does is she terrorizes employees and customers, threatening them with a knife. I want you to see, for those who can't see, who aren't on social media, you'll be able to hear it. I want you to notice how the popo deal with this woman. It's gonna blow your mind. It's gonna blow. And the reason I want you to see this is because we know if she were black, whether a woman or a man, they would have emptied bullets into her with the quickness. She would have been dead. She would have been dead. Check this out.
Drop it now! Drop it now! Drop the knife! Drop the knife now! Drop it! Get back. Drop the knife now! Drop it. Drop the knife. Drop the knife. Drop it now. Put the knife down. Put the knife down. Put it down. Drop it. Drop the knife. Drop the knife. Drop the knife now. Drop it.
Now, I know some of you all could not see my screen. But here's what happened. Cops get there, and I want you to understand that clip was cut down significantly. The number of times that you heard him say drop the knife in that 90-second clip isn't even half the number of times that he said it in the full. He had her at gunpoint saying drop the knife. She wouldn't do it. Another cop comes in, distracts her on the other side. He switches from his gun to his taser and then uses non-lethal force to subdue her. Now we know if she were black, woman or man, both of those cops would have emptied their gun into her. She would be dead. You don't believe me? Look at Micaiah Bryant. Cop got on the scene from the time he got out of his car to the time he shot her 4 times. It was less than 5 seconds because she had a knife. This white woman had a knife. He was begging her, please drop the knife. Ma'am, pretty please, could you please see it within yourself in the kindness of your heart to please drop the knife. Drop the knife now, ma'am. Drop the knife. Would you please drop the knife? Come on. Would you please drop the knife? Drop the knife. Drop the knife, please. Drop the knife. I mean, he's literally begging and pleading. Please, ma'am, please. Please drop the knife. Please drop the knife. Drop the knife. Drop the knife. Drop the knife. Come on, listen to this.
Drop the knife now! Drop it now! Drop the knife! Drop the knife now!
Drop the knife.
Drop it!
Drop it. Drop the knife.
Back up. Drop the knife now!
Drop the knife now.
Drop it!
Drop it.
Drop the knife!
Drop the knife. Drop the knife. Please drop the knife. He doesn't fire one bullet. Now, they can de-escalate. They can use compassion. They can switch from a gun to a taser. They can wait for another officer to come in and distract. They can use non-lethal force when it's a white person who is an immediate threat. They would have murdered a black person and said that they feared for their lives and they posed an immediate threat because they had a knife. You know, there's a clip I put up of them coming into the home of a Latino woman who had mental health issues, who's standing in her house with a knife in her hand, holding it down. And the cop immediately murders her. She's 75 years old. Just shoots her. He didn't sit there, drop the knife. Drop the knife now. Please drop the knife. White folks have the complexion for the protection. But then they're always the ones telling us how we need to comply. If you just comply, then you won't die. It's easy to say that when y'all aren't being killed like we are. Easy to say that. When you're not subject to 90 bullets over a traffic violation. Come on, man. Stop it. 413. Let me open up the phone line. 337 1867. If you're in the Twitter space, put in your request in the Twitter space and we'll get you on the air. Yeah, drop the knife. Please drop the knife. Pretty please, with sugar on top. Could you drop the knife? I mean, that's the kind of begging. That's the kind of begging. That is the kind of begging. Uh, man. Yeah, don't. I mean, come on, leave me alone. Y'all leave me alone with pretending these disparities don't exist uh, in these yet the United States of America. Let me bring up Black Soviet Troll Commander. I hope your name doesn't mean that you're a troll, but we're going to see. Uh, you got the microphone.
Good morning. I'm not sure.
Okay, good morning.
I'm definitely one. But, so, man, I had something I was going to say about this. The reason that, in my opinion, that police are kind of what impunity is that they've been given the incentive to do it. We like to use the word, what's that word? It's the license to kill.
Mm-hmm.
And they have them.
Mm-hmm.
The United States military, when we had that war in Afghanistan, they used to call it the Wild West days.
Mm-hmm.
Where people just shoot people with farmers because they had guns on them.
Right.
The reason why we're seeing police do what they do with white folk versus black folk is that they use that logic that 80% black people commit 80% of crime, blah blah blah. And
Which is
okay,
false, which is patently false according to the FBI statistics.
right, exactly. So what I'm saying is we know that they're white supremacists in our police departments. We know that they're in our military. So they'll use that, and I was going to say the logic of, um, oh, man, I said it on my tongue. Uh, well, they use that as a means to get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the discernment, the police departments have different policies. So if the guy's running down the street with a gun in his hand, the idea is that we shot him in the back because we thought he was going to go shoot somebody. So they use that ideology based on that.
Mm-hmm.
When in all actuality, like the woman at the Walmart showing the video, it's the same thing. She could have stabbed, she could have ran the other way and stabbed
Mm-hmm.
somebody.
Mm-hmm.
People in proximity to her. So why did they shoot her as well? You see this when these guys get taken out, they shoot up a bunch of people, they steal up active shooters,
Mm-hmm.
and they get walked out the building in handcuffs, not dead.
Right.
So I just find that very interesting. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take up a bunch of time,
That's all right.
but I find it very interesting because of that.
Absolutely. All right. Appreciate you. 413-337-1867. Put your request in the Twitter space if you want to get on. I'm going to bring on the senator to give us our State House update, and we'll come back to our topic at hand. I'll talk a little bit more about the police killing of 25-year-old Jalen Walker and how it has reignited um, this ongoing conversation about the fear and panic Black people in America feel during police stops. Um, um, Many suggest that Walker ran because he wanted to survive. He wanted to live. That's plausible, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's bring Senator Lesser. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Bishop.
How you doing?
Good. On a more on a lighter topic, I heard you had a birthday recently in the family. So happy birthday to your son, 22.
Yes. 22 years old.
That's
Yes,
a
sir.
big age, yeah. But I'm sure you were very, very young when he was born.
Yeah. Well, no, not actually, but I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, let him know happy birthday, and that's a big milestone, 22. So that's exciting.
Absolutely. So what's going on?
Well, good morning. Good morning, everyone. We've got a really, really busy agenda in front of us in the legislature just for the next few weeks. Of course, the end of session is July 31, just 3 weeks away. So we're kind of racing to get a lot done just in the next few weeks here. We've got a lot of work to do potentially on gun control, gun safety legislation after, of course, the Supreme Court decision. We've got some work to do on patching what the Supreme Court did with repealing Roe. And then we've, of course, got the state budget, which we're waiting to finalize, and a big vote on Thursday for all of us in Western Mass, especially. A very, very important vote on the West East Rail Project. $250 million at least in new bond authorization that the state is going to be putting up to get the prep work ready for the bigger pot of federal money that's going to come. We're also going to be setting up a task force, a commission, to help us write the authority language that we're going to need to unlock that federal money that's going to be coming our way. So a lot going on. We also did some important criminal justice reform work last week and the week before that. We are changing and reforming how we do asset forfeiture in Massachusetts. We actually are an outlier in states in how we currently treat that in terms of the standard of evidence that we use for seizing assets in a forfeiture claim. And we also are waiting on a big climate bill, and we're on pins and needles to get that back. We've got sports betting pending, and then we have a big economic development bill that will include potentially some tax relief, some significant tax relief for everyone that we're going to try to get done before the end of July as
Y'all
well.
are gonna get all that done before the end of session.
That's the hope. Yeah, there's a lot of spinning plates in the air right now, but I do think everyone is really in the spirit of trying to get everything done. We're always in this case at the end of session where things pile up. It's got a little bit of a feel of like last day before final exams,
Mhm.
where everyone's cramming. But I do think we're going to get most, if not all of it done by July 31.
What does the budget look like in terms of Western Massachusetts?
So we are in a really unique budget time. We're more than $3 billion over estimates in terms of what the state has collected this year. We've got several big items that are particularly important for Western Mass. I am keeping a close eye on regional transit authorities. We're trying to increase support for the PVTA and our RTAs. Very important for our communities in Western Mass that have long been shortchanged in our school systems. Full implementation of the Student Opportunity Act and also increased aid to help deal with the mental health crisis in our schools, which is a very big issue. I hear about this everywhere I go, from teachers, from parents, from students, and young people themselves. We're going to try to beef up resources on that front to hire more resource counselors, hire more mental health professionals, get more support into the school systems and into families. So I'd say those three items are really the key for me: funding for the schools, the RTA, PVTA funding, and then the mental health.
Okay. So some of my listeners want me to ask you what are your thoughts on the Jalen Walker shooting?
Well, I think it's horrible. I mean, I heard a little bit of the lead-in when I was just listening before it was my turn. I think we've got to ask why were 90 bullets fired. Another unarmed shooting. I think it's an example of why we need to continue to do the work and continue to implement. I'd point out here in Massachusetts, we're just getting the police reform law online with real teeth, right? The certification just happened. There are challenges happening right now that the police unions are filing
Hmm.
to that certification. There's a lot of open questions here in Massachusetts about how that implementation is working. It just continues to add urgency. We can't make pronouncements and pass laws without actual implementation. And you see the stakes here. This, of course, happened in Ohio, but you and I both know, Bishop, that this could happen in Massachusetts. It has happened in Massachusetts and in Springfield specifically. So I think it just continues to add urgency to the work we need to do here to get these practices fixed. We need to improve body camera implementation. There's been a lot of progress on that, but we've got to do more. We have got to get the post and the police reform law we passed in Massachusetts fully implemented as quickly as possible, and we've got to beef up the oversight and the training. And I think another piece that's very important, there's legislation in Massachusetts to do this, is to continue to try to supplement, not replace, but supplement police responses, in particular to these mental health or these wellness calls, with professionals that have, a mental health background or an unarmed response. You can't replace it, but you've got to supplement and build around it, and build cultures and response systems that also address de-escalation. So I'd be curious your feelings on it, Bishop. But I think it just as an example, this isn't going away, and it's not going to go away until these big changes really get implemented.
Absolutely. So let me ask you. Um, I always got to ask you what's happening on the campaign trail.
Well, I appreciate that, Bishop, and it's going well. I was in Lynn yesterday. There was an ice cream social in Lynn that I visited. I was then in Newton for a concert series. I was in Fitchburg over 4th of July for their big block party. Was also in Wakefield. They have a huge 4th of July parade in Wakefield. Tomorrow, I'm going to be in Mansfield for their family fun night, and also be stopping through Attleboro. So we're just trying to get out as much as we can, and we're getting a great response. I think people appreciate that, especially for our Western Mass and Central Mass audience. There is not a single statewide elected official running right now that would be from outside 495. That representation is important. Having somebody who comes from far away from Beacon Hill is important. Somebody who's focused on gateway cities. We heard that loud and clear even in Lynn yesterday is really key. So we're working on the rail. We're going to work on the voc ed. We're going to focus on implementing the police reform. We're going to continue to beef up the governor's hate crimes task force that you and I both serve on. There's a lot more we could be doing there. So it's going well. If people want to help out, they can visit ericlester.com or check us out on social media.
All right. Always appreciate you.
Thanks, Bishop.
Good luck on the campaign trail, and you got a busy next 3 weeks. So I'm sure you guys are going to do your best to get her done for Western Mass.
Absolutely, and I appreciate your support and enthusiasm, and appreciate everyone. I always get really great responses when I come on. When I come on, Bishop. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak with everyone. And people can always reach out to me. My phone number, 413-526-6501. Campaign side is ericlester.com. Senate side is senatorlester.com. All our contact info is there. People should always feel free to reach out.
Absolutely. All right. Enjoy the rest of the day, Senator.
Happy Monday.
All right.
Take care. All
right, Senator Eric Lesser with our State House update. Usually every first Monday, but we put it off to the second Monday. Coming up at 10 o'clock, Justice and Flow will be flowing again. We didn't have it last week because Wifey and I both were on vacay. But we're back. Looking for the same thing. Anyway, let me not get into my public enemy. 413-337-1867 in the Twitter space. Put in your request if you want to make commentary on the subject matter. Here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and enemies. Unarmed black people are killed by police at a rate that is nearly 4 times higher than white people. And what white folks will always say, here's the hypocrisy. When we pull out the FBI stats to prove that white men in particular commit more crime than everybody else, then they say, well, that's that. You got to look at the statistics. There are more white people than black people, so of course they're going to commit more crime. But look at it statistically. But then when we talk about black people being killed by police, they come out with more white people are killed by police. Well, what happened to there are more white people? And you got to look at it statistically. Because statistically, black people are killed at a rate that is 4 times higher. But they don't want to admit that reality. And most of your high profile police killings of black people in recent years have started with routine traffic stops. Philando Castile fatally shot during a traffic stop in Minneapolis. Patrick Lyoya in Grand Rapids, Michigan, was shot by Officer Christopher Schur, who was trying to arrest him after a traffic stop. Okay? After a traffic stop. And then he got on top of him, unarmed, on the ground, subdued, pulled out his gun, and shot him in the back of the head at point blank range for a traffic stop. And so we know that the experience of black people, including those who have to witness deadly police encounters, has created a level of fear that explains why innocent people would still run. See, a lot of times y'all try to say running is an admission of guilt. No, innocent people will still run if they feel like there's a possibility that they may be killed. And the things that these police are pulling people over for most of the time is not because they were selling drugs, they murdered anybody, busted taillights, speeding, going through a red light. Those are not executable crimes. Come on. We should not have to die. That's why my wife and I wouldn't let our son go to work today. Because we know being pulled over for an expired inspection sticker in America, a black man can be executed for. That's the reality of the nation that we live in. The devil that you know in the Twitter space, you got the microphone. I don't know if I should be talking to the devil, but you got the mic. Go ahead.
My brother, I was looking up an interesting stat at the Department of Labor.
Mm-hmm.
And what it says is that basically 10% of emergency medical technicians are ex-military, 19% of the firefighters, and a quarter of the police. And I find that problematic. And the reason I find that problematic is because as an ex-military vet myself, we were never taught to de-escalate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You go in, you identify the target, you take the target out, and then you move on. So there's no de-escalation with these cops.
Right.
Because a quarter of them, that's how they were trained.
Mm-hmm.
And because the United States military, especially the Army and Marines, which is where most of these people are coming from, are really good at killing people, when they start throwing hot lead at you, they ain't gonna miss.
Mm-hmm.
Not often. So when you're black and you're in the United States and you know you're facing somebody that's got a badge and a gun who's more likely at the first provocation going to pop a cap in you, yes, you're going to run.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely going to run.
Absolutely.
Because you come out into this instinct of fight or flight. And if he's got the gun, your only other choice is to run.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's all I got to say about this. But yeah, I find it extremely problematic that 25% of all police officers are ex-military. I also find it extremely problematic that most police officers have only a high school diploma. It's not like they're going to university or
Right,
anything else and
right,
becoming police officers.
right, right.
And I
And
know from the
and
hometown
and
that I'm in,
and not only
all the
that,
cops,
not
all
only.
the cops that are in my hometown,
Mhm.
they were also all the jocks, meatheads, and bullies in my high school.
Yep. And not only that, they have less training in terms of time of training. My son is a barber. It took him longer to finish barber school than it takes them to finish the police academy.
I was a computer engineer in the United States Navy. It was 8 weeks of boot camp, 12 weeks of basic electricity and electronics, and 42 weeks of data systems technician A school before I could come out and do what the Navy wanted me to do. Even the shore patrol in the Navy has a special, I think it's a 25-week school.
Mm-hmm.
And even like when you're talking about your master at arms and stuff like that, who are basically the ship's police force, it's also once again another 12 weeks on top of that.
Wow. Absolutely. Appreciate you, my brother.
So
Appreciate you. 413-337-1867. 9 minutes left in the spoken word before we transition over to justice and flow. Let me get a few more people up in here. Now, somebody is calling themselves Jalen Walker. We know this is not Jalen Walker. Um, but now you can speak. You got the mic.
Hey, good brother. How you doing, Bishop? Thank you so much for hosting this space. Thank you so much for being a voice for so many of us. We greatly appreciate the service that you've given to the people. I just really wanted to double down on what's happening in Akron.
Okay.
My name is Sir Major. I'm a longtime activist. I'm not your Negro.
Mhm.
In a time when Akron police officers should be really calm and really listening to the community and taking a second look at things, what we see, Bishop, is that these officers are still violently beating protesters. They've arrested previously the aunt Breonna Taylor. They
Right.
have arrested the cousin of Tamir Rice, Cortez Rice. They've arrested a brother named Michael Harris and assaulted him, violently punching him several times, and this is captured on civilian cameras. And then also the father of Jacob Blake Sr. was arrested. And so in Akron PD, the city of Akron, they act without any regard of human life. Bishop, we also know that when we saw the body camera, check this out. There were 8 officers who were a part of that shooting.
Mm-hmm.
5 additional officers were on scene and did not fire their weapons, right? We know that the police department strategically and intentionally put out their version of cameras that they wanted folks to see.
Mm-hmm.
What they did not show us, Bishop, is a police officer emptying his clip, reloading another magazine, and dumping that magazine there. They didn't show that to the public. And so we're advocating, the folks in Ohio and organizers and activists, we're advocating for total transparency. And for the past 3 days, my organization, the Ohio Alliance for Social Justice, have been drafting the most comprehensive open records request, FOIA request, and also we're filing complaints on behalf of those who have been falsely arrested and brutally beaten after the Jalen Walker situation. Thank you so much, Bishop.
All right. Appreciate you, my brother. Wow. Man, I'm telling you, it's wicked. It's wicked. Jalen Walker was a DoorDash driver. He was unarmed at the time he was killed. He had no criminal record. They can't go dig up criminal record or when he was arrested, this, that, and the third. He was a church boy. He was a young man, but to me, boy. Born and raised in one of our denominational churches in the Church of God in Christ. I know his pastor, Elder Robert DeJournette. He and I served on the diversity leadership Council of the American Heart Association together. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning. I just want to say the police do a fantastic job in this country. They got very difficult circumstances. We got career criminals that
What
they have
what
to
what
deal
what does
with.
that
We
have to
got
do with?
liberal
What does that
judges
have
who
to
beat
do?
police criminals
What
out
does
over
that
and over
have to
again. They do a
do?
wonderful job.
Okay.
And I just want to say one thing to
Let me
Senator
turn this. Let
Lesser.
me turn this dude
Next
down.
time his
Bye. So anyway, you're not gonna. The one thing you won't do on my program is over talk me. If I'm trying to come in and have the conversation, then you're gonna stop and listen, and we'll have a back and forth dialogue. You ain't gonna just keep on bum rushing and talking like it's your talk show. Okay, nothing that you said has anything to do with Jalen Walker. Okay, nothing that you said has anything to do. And I recognize the voice. You haven't called in a while, but you normally call with some racist foolery. But calling here, patting the police on the back, and talking about what a great job they do in our country on the heels of this black man being executed with 90 bullets. That ain't gonna fly on here. Call into Fox News, call into Sean Hannity, call into what's the clown up in the Boston area, Howie Carr. Call into your right wing conservative, white supremacist radio talk shows where they agree with the foolishness that you're talking, but it don't fly here. But this guy has been calling into black run radio programs here in Springfield for years, because that's what they do. That's how they do. Good morning, caller.
Hi, Bishop. How you doing?
I'm good.
I
You?
wanted my husband wanted to give some insight on the Jalen Walker incident. He is a retired uh, police officer, etc.
Go right ahead.
Okay, hold on.
Well,
Good morning.
hi, how you doing?
I'm good. You?
Good, good. Are you ready?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Yeah. Well, my perspective on the whole thing is okay. Police are going to make traffic stops for minor traffic incidents, uh, tail lights, brake lights, stop lights, or whatever. The whole thing is, if there was a gunshot that came out of the car, that's kind of irregardless of the final outcome. Once he took off running, you did not see a weapon. When you started shooting, you did not see a weapon. When he turned, from my perspective, it was in order to give up. I was a cop for 27 years. I've chased people. I've chased people that had guns. Once they turn and give up, the fight is over.
Mm-hmm.
And my God, to shoot 90 times, it's totally uncalled for.
Yes.
You have a subject with a gun, you don't even shoot him 60 times. Once the fight is over, you stop. It's just getting outrageous out here.
Yes, sir.
I don't understand. And I was proud when I was a deputy sheriff. I was a detective. I was on the bomb squad. I did all kind of narcotics investigations. I even worked homicide for a while. And I am ashamed to this day to say I was a cop.
Wow. Now that's deep. That's deep. Someone who served honorably in his profession, who has seen the police profession devolve in such a way that he's saying he's ashamed to say he was a cop. Brother, I appreciate you. I got to transition out, but I appreciate your call. I need to transition off of the spoken word into justice and flow. I see y'all in the Twitter space. I see y'all on the telephone lines. Y'all waited all this time. All right, you got 10 seconds. Make your point. You're on the air.
Well, maybe I should call back. This is Pastor Kimberly Pullings from Jacksonville, Florida.
Yes, I see you, Pastor
I had
Pullings.
the honor. I'm sorry, I can't. I want to make sure I can hear you.
Go ahead.
I had the honor of being pulled into a meeting with the Jalen Walker's family, Reverend Jesse Jackson, the Rainbow Push Coalition, and their national field director, Bishop Talbert Swan, on last Sunday. Some of the stuff that they had shared with us was this was one of 28 shootings that they've had in Akron. They talked about how Jalen Walker was nonviolent. He was having a mental health issue because there were some things that had gone on the week prior that was very devastating to him. So it was, and also Pastor Eddie, I believe, was on the call as well.
Yes.
And we had talked about bringing you on. We did not know that you were on vacation at the time.
Yeah.
But we just wanted to get that out that there will be a day that they're going to call for a national rally. We've been rallying around the cities, and Akron and Ohio and all the other states have been out. A lot of the activists have been out and calling for national days of action, and they have been doing that. We had ours here in Jacksonville on Saturday. So the thing is, we as believers and women and men of God, as much as we pray, we need to act. We need to really get out and begin to support these families and what is going on, because it's coming. It doesn't matter at this point. We're who we are.
Absolutely.
I'm a retired police officer, and I'm still advocating for people.
Pastor Pullings, can you do me a favor and shoot me an inbox with your contact info? I'd like to talk to you offline if possible.
Absolutely. I'll send it to you right now.
All right, I appreciate that. I got to get out the way. Stay with me, those of you who are on social media, those listening on WTCC. If you're looking for a place to worship, check us out at the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ, 35 Alden Street, Springfield, Massachusetts, 11 o'clock a.m. on every Sunday morning, 7 p.m. on Wednesday evenings. Until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember, God loves you and so do I. The rest of you, be right back with Justice and Flow. Stay with us. we are back with Justice in Flow. I see y'all in the Twitter space still trying to get in, still, still trying to holler. Let me see. 413-337-1867 is the number her. That's I'm Justice, I guess, and that must be Flow. You're supposed to point the other way. You're supposed to point this way. If I point at you like this, you're supposed to point the other way. No, you're pointing. No, you got to point to me. There. That's pointing to me.
But it's not.
It is.
It's not.
For those who see us.
Screen.
For those who see us.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I had
Anyway.
to go the way.
Anyway, yes, Demetrius, my sermons are live streamed on Sunday on let me see. Yes, they're live streamed on Facebook, not on my YouTube channel.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, family. I missed y'all. Glad to be back with you. Glad that we made it back safely. Had a great vacation. Glad to be back.
Well, um, what's up, family? Y'all know what we were talking about during the first hour. And I know there's some of y'all who still want to talk about that. I don't know what wifey has.
I won't interrupt. Today.
Has on point for us.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I missed y'all. Hey, family. Hey.
So then let's continue. Let's get T-Bone. Y'all names be killing me, but it's all good. It's all good. T-Bone Resistor. T-Bone. You got the microphone. Listen.
T-Bone Resistor.
Did you notice how I rhymed? T-Bone, you got the microphone.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
you got to unmute your mic, T-Bone. Come on, T-Bone.
Okay, I'm sorry. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Bishop,
yes.
Man of God, I don't know you just now, seeing your Twitter space. All glory to God, but get to the point. Police have no job description. We know that, they say this motto, to protect and serve, but really, if we look into the legal aspect of it, they have no job description. So they go about doing whatever, protects them and whatever serves them. So that's the reason why they run around and they kill black men, because they're not here to protect us. They were originally started out being slave catchers, and so that's the origination of police work in the United States.
Absolutely.
So that's really all I have to say.
Absolutely, appreciate you, and that's a fact. That's how policing started. Policing was about catching slaves, and it seems like
no. Let's correct that language.
Catching the enslaved.
Thank you.
Catching
That's very important.
Enslaved.
And enslaving them again, or re-enslaving them, even if they had gained their freedom. So
absolutely.
So I would agree with the young man. I would agree with that statement. I also would say that the job description has not changed since the origin of creating police patrol to capture enslaved individuals.
Absolutely. Well, they went from overseer to officer.
Yeah.
That's basically what they did. Law abiding. Law abiding. Unmute your mic. You got the microphone.
Bishop, thank you. I'll be brief, but I think that it's time for us to move beyond catharsis of airing out these grievances and towards action. And the only language that a capitalist society understands is litigation and money. And so, and I think that the path forward legally is a class action lawsuit against et al. United States et al. Versus Foundation for Black Americans, ADOS, DOAS, Freedmen, and all those descendants of the enslaved.
Now I've heard that more and more and more. I've heard that from at least 5 different people in the last couple of weeks about class action. One of the strategies that we always try to teach people is a 3-pronged strategy: educate, agitate, and litigate. So you're absolutely right. That's one of the key strategies.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I think that the constitutional right that's being violated right now is equal protection under the law. And so, and we can go back as far as they started dating when they started keeping the FBI criminal records. We can go back and look at the U.S. Census Bureau data. We're at the top. We're consistently at the top of every negative statistic and consistently at the bottom of every positive one. And so, and yet nothing is being done. And then under the first 100 days of the Biden administration, the agents get a hate crime bill, didn't even ask for one. And so those types of disparities, I think, is crucial for us to kind of highlight how we're not being equally protected. And that, I think, needs to go into federal court. A separate line of operation needs also to go to the UN. And I think that with America, the country that I love is complicated. But this is my home. But I'll have to say the truth, and the truth is that she's only interested in a veneer of righteousness. She's not interested in righteousness, a veneer of it. And so, and I think that our play forward is to attack that veneer and make them show their true face to the world.
Absolutely.
That's all I got to say.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Well spoken.
I just want to, just add a little bit to that. I'm in total agreement with what everybody is saying and what they're bringing to the table today concerning this conversation. One of my big issues, and it gives me great anxiety, is that the humanity of Black folk is not a priority in this country. I mean, especially when you look at our political leaders, it's not even in the top 3. And I know that things become very complicated for us because, we have so many things out there that's going wrong, that, it becomes extremely overwhelming to prioritize. But at the end of the day, if we can't say the number one issue is the humanity, which is the life, right, of Black people, and make that the number one issue, then we're just gonna keep running around like we've been doing for decades now, chasing after our tails. And especially when the Democratic Party, which is, I'm gonna say, the Black Party, because most of us do vote democratically, for various reasons, and we know what those reasons are historically, and so on and so forth. I have a real issue with the Democrats not making the humanity of Black folk a priority in legislation, in the way that we create policies and laws, to help us continue to move and navigate throughout society. So I have a big issue with that.
Absolutely. But it's just a shame that we're still at this point in the history of this nation that we're still debating the humanity of black people.
Right.
From being labeled as 3/5 human in the founding documents to
Right.
still talking about whether or not we're human is frustrating. Um,
Well, it is more than frustrating. I mean, the fact of the matter is, psychologically, and certainly socially, that is embedded into the minds and the psyche of people throughout this country, and well, actually, world. That black folk are less than, that black folk are not human, that black folk don't feel pain like other humans feel pain, that we bleed different, that that we're traumatized differently, or we're not traumatized. It's like we're magical in a sense, or whatever, but it's not honored and it's not reverenced. And so it's like I said, it's complicated, but it's re-triggering, and it's traumatizing, because nobody can live up to that.
yeah.
So
Let me get none your business. Y'all are something else. None your business. You're in the Twitter space. Unmute your microphone. You got the mic. Come on with it, Nunya.
your mother is embedded in them, and
There
that's
we go. There we go. There we go. So my thing is like, so does everybody support Othel Wallace and therefore?
Well, I don't think everybody can speak right now, but go ahead.
Well, do you, Bishop Talbert Swan, do you support Othel Wallace?
Otha Wallace?
Yeah.
Come on, explain. Support in
Othel
what way?
Wallace was a guy in Florida who was approached by a police officer in the parking lot, I believe, of an apartment complex. There was no reason for the stop. The police officer engaged that individual. There was a confrontation. Othel Wallace was a legal gun carrier or gun possessor and decided to use that gun to defend himself. And the officer ended up dying as a result of that.
Okay.
There was a man. You remember that situation? He was found in Georgia.
No, I don't remember that situation. But here's my thing.
Mm-hmm.
If this country is big on so-called Second Amendment rights, even though I think they got it twisted, because when the Second Amendment that talked about um, a well-armed militia, that whole thing was about if the government became repressive in a way that was detrimental to the people, that the people could rise up against a repressive government. That's what that was about. That wasn't about every Tom, Dick, and Harry in society being able to have a firearm. That's not even what the Second Amendment is about. But since it's been twisted in that way, and people have interpreted it such as people having a right to hold a firearm to defend themselves, I believe that if you have a firearm to defend yourself, that includes defending yourself against illegal actions by the police as well.
I agree.
I completely agree that if a police officer is abusing his authority, if he's acting outside of the scope of the law and putting me in danger, then I should have every right to defend myself against that cop.
Let me go even further. If a cop can be convicted of murder, then if you have a time machine, then that person who was subject to that murder and the bystanders who was witness to that murder had every right to engage that person with lethal force if necessary to prevent that murder. For instance, if those people holding cameras watching George Floyd pass away before their eyes thought at any point, I believe this is murder, they all had the right to shoot or defend George Floyd's life by attacking Chauvin and all the other police officers at the scene. You can't say, well, you should comply, up to and including being illegally
Murder.
murdered.
Watch a murder. Right.
Right?
Right.
Right. Absolutely. No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
And it inverses.
Okay, we lost them, but no, I agree. We should be able to defend ourselves, even if that means defending ourselves against the police.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That's
Just
what,
because just
that's
because you're a police officer, a judge, or any officer of the court, or supposed to be, protected of the law or whatever. If you're breaking the law, by assaulting someone or harming someone or bringing some harm, to someone, you should get it too. you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of people have difficulty. Um, they have difficulty with trying to rationalize the the actions of, say, a Nat Turner, um, because they went out attacking and murdering their enslavers, and I believe that they were within their rights in a slave rebellion to defend themselves against people who were depriving them of their humanity and their freedom. Um, and I know people have an issue, and see, especially religious people, and see when the Bible says, "Thou shalt not kill." We read it that way in English, but the actual transliteration of the original language was, "Thou shalt not murder." Killing in self-defense is not murder.
That's not murder. Right.
Exactly. So people have to really, get the language right. We got a right to. It's like Malcolm X said, obey the law, respect everybody, but if somebody puts his hands on you, send them to the cemetery.
Well, here's another dynamic of that, and I heard this recently. I'm trying to remember if the commentators were white or black, or whatever. I'm pretty sure they were white, but I don't want to I don't want to misspeak. So it's really important, that I claimed. I can't remember exactly who they were, but I'm pretty sure they were white. And what they said was, and it's something that has stuck with me. What they said was, you had nice slave owners. You had good slave owners.
Hmm.
And I'm like, and excuse me, y'all, because, but I did. I said this inside of myself, but I'm gonna say it out loud because that's how offended I was. I was like, who the hell can be a nice slave owner?
Hmm.
That's not possible. That's not even an oxymoron. That's not possible to be a nice slave owner.
Anybody who owned people was evil. Period.
Anybody who enslaved people
Right.
is evil. Anybody who enslaved people is evil. And it kind of it took me back to, the culture of using women and girls' bodies for breeding and for sexual pleasure and so on and so forth, and how they even try to romanticize it. I heard you. We was listening. Remember, we was watching the Black Church the other day, and we was listening to. No, actually, we was listening to Roots. Henry Louis Gates was talking to Mr. Madison about his roots, and so anyway, he found out about Mr. Madison's great great grandfather being a white man. I believe it was great grandfather, either his third or fourth grandfather was white. and he had a relationship with a black woman, which ended up certainly, being his fourth grandmother or third grandmother. I can't remember. Um, but anyway, the way that the commentary went was she must have been a very attractive slave girl. She must have been a very attractive slave girl. In other words, no white man would have been sleeping with a black woman, a black slave girl, if she wasn't attractive. So
Does she have women body parts?
I pick up on those little bits of shades that they're very subliminal, but you gotta watch it and you gotta listen and you gotta catch it. Because like I said, Henry Louis Gates is the one who wrote it and actually spoke it. And so to say for this white man to go out of his way to be with this, again, they trying to romanticize the relationship, to go out of his way to be with this black woman. She had to be very beautiful, or whatever the case.
Which is the dumbest. Oh my God! Don't get me started.
But see, but those are the things, though. Those are the things that, whether we are aware of it, those are the messages that are in our psyche. Even, with someone as knowledgeable as Henry Louis Gates going around repeating messages like that. You
Yeah.
understand? You understand what I'm saying? So we got to be very, very, very careful. We got to pick up on. That's why I'm saying, babe, language is important. What we say, the messages that we send, especially send out to our community, if it's not elevating, if it's not informing, if it's not the truth, we need to pull it back, make sure that we're using the right language that is understandable. Like Mr. Madison says, put it out there where the goats can get it. Everybody can get it, right?
Mm.
Um, but yeah, and we know that that's not true. First of all, black girls and black women, well, I'm gonna say we're all attractive, or whatever, but it didn't have nothing to do with the way that white men were treating us, misusing us, abusing us, raping us, um, um, you know, the girls as well as the women, and it's just, I don't know, but like I said, we got to be very careful. We got to listen, and language is everything. As far as like elevating our community.
Right.
So I brought that up because of what the previous caller said.
Right.
Mhm.
Absolutely. But the irony of that is like is saying the white man ain't gonna mess with a black woman unless she's extremely attractive. Yeah, we see black men rolling around with ugly white women all the time. But I'm not even gonna get into that. Um,
Uh, Let me read this post because I think it's on point. She says, "Hi, Lady Swan. Is it possible for you to speak on the retired officer's statement about the percentage of military people as our first responders, right? That's really important because a large portion of military individuals, especially if they ever did active duty, went to war, or anything like that, they suffer from PTSD. A huge portion of us. And in case y'all don't know what PTSD is, that's post traumatic syndrome disorder. Post traumatic syndrome disorder. And typically, there are a lot of symptoms associated to PTSD. You might have nightmares, you might be easily triggered by noise or certain sounds. For instance, we just had the 4th of July. Well, a lot of people celebrated the 4th of July, and a lot of people were popping out firecrackers. Well, a lot of people with PTSD probably was not able to sleep, or they had some difficulty sleeping. They were probably anxiety filled all day or all night, or whatever the case may be. They probably was triggered by a whole lot of different things that was going on July 4th. The sound, the celebration, the smell, just a whole lot of things. Certain, like I said, certain language, certain words, certain scenes. You might watch a certain movie, for instance, or somebody might say something, you might smell anything, and you can be easily triggered without even knowing that you're triggered. Oftentimes, when you're triggered, you don't know that you've been triggered. Oftentimes, when you're triggered. And so, well, anyway, so she said, how many of servants suffer from PTSD? What happens when they get triggered? Also, they remove IO psychiatrists from law enforcement, which is industrial occupational psychiatry from law enforcement organizations, where their fields is to reveal these types of biases and discrimination. Right. So, and I didn't know that. I didn't know that they removed IL psychiatrists from the law enforcement organizations where their fields is to reveal these types of biases and discrimination. So, right, if you have an IO psychiatrist or an inpatient psychiatrist, or somebody typically working with an organization ongoing, typically, you can kind of get ahead of some issues, of some biases, or maybe even prevent, some biases or discrimination attitudes or whatever from being developed or further developed. So thank you for that, Ka pulling. That was a really good point. A really good point.
Listen, y'all ain't gonna be talking about my rapping skills. Okay, y'all ain't gonna be talking about my rapping skills. I see you, Angela Thorpe, telling me to keep my day job and
Lead
and
the rhyming to our son.
and,
And
and Whitney telling me that I'm not a rapper. Traffic, looking for my chapstick. There's a Ford Maverick. See, that's $1 million rhyme right there. Of course, you had to watch. You had to watch. What is the movie I'm thinking?
Malibu.
Malibu's Most Wanted to understand that right there. But anyway, I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave the rapping alone. Black Knight, Black Knight, you now have the microphone. Come with it. Unmute your microphone. Black Knight, unmute your mic. See, I'm rhyming again. See, y'all don't know. Y'all just don't know.
Hey, how's everyone?
Good. How you doing?
Well, I just wanted to share more of a deeper dive as we talk about police and the George Floyd situation. Right now, the Senate is back in session, where along with members of the House are back in session. And one of the things that I was reading over the summer was a article about Jeff Merkley saying that he wants to bring back the talking filibuster, focusing on on the abortion rights issue of women. So for me, I believe that they're only working maybe 30 days this month. I believe that Congress should be staying longer all the way through September to work on trying to get the George Floyd Act passed. So I'm just speaking on this, only asking for what somebody's opinion is on it. Because if we can organize or get members of Congress to stay later on critical issues that are important to the Black community, I think that will show the level of respect they have for us and the Black vote.
Yeah, well, one of the most difficult things to to do now is to get them to show that they have any level of respect for Black voters. I think who was it? One of the other previous callers talked about how the Asians got an anti-hate crime bill that they didn't even ask for. The irony of that is Asian hate crimes rose from about 159 in 2019 to 200 and something in 250 something in 2020, and that sparked a $5 billion law to protect Asians who had less than 300 total hate crimes. The vast majority of hate crimes committed in America are committed against black people. And in the same period of time, hate crimes against black people rose from 1,953 to nearly 3,000 hate crimes. And I'm wondering, how could we have the sharpest increase in hate crimes over the same time period, but we're passing laws to protect Asians and not even proposing a law to specifically protect black people? That's the kind of disrespect that we get from this party. Or not only that, the disrespect
Now,
that.
look,
Wait, let me just make this point.
I totally agree
Let me
with
make
you
this point. Let me make this
as a
point. Let me make this point right here. The disrespect was so blatant that 4 days after 10 black people were murdered in a Buffalo supermarket, targeted and murdered in a Buffalo supermarket, the House of Representatives passed a resolution condemning hate against Jews. 4 days after the Buffalo massacre. I mean, they just slap us and spit in our face all day, every day.
Well, that's what I mean when I say that,
I,
I,
I want to really just like finish my comment on this. It's about, if you're talking about certain other races besides the African American community, it's the it's the economic control that black community does not possess that get our point across. I don't know who your U.S. senators are in whatever particular states all of you come from as individuals, but if you have black millionaires out there that feel strong, and we can mobilize them and bring all our resources together and create our own national push for things that are important to us. That's the only way we can be able to get anything done.
Well, I believe in economic empowerment for sure. Go ahead, babe. You were going to say?
no, actually, I was reading another comment from Tony Taylor, and Tony Taylor says, "I wanted to say my brother was a police officer in the city of Holyoke, Massachusetts, for many years. He survived to retirement because we grew up in the town that he served." I think that's important. I think a residency requirement should be instituted in all police organizations or police departments. He had no military background and was college educated. He knew and grew up with many of the people he had to face, and that was a positive in most of his experiences. It's a shame that a few bad apples spoil the bunch. I agree with that statement. Of certainly, I've never been a police officer, but I tell you what does sadden me is that good police officers that sound like your brother was, it is. Good police officers are put also in a position when they are working to where they cannot expose the bad apples in the bunch.
Well,
And
that's
so
what.
therein too, kind of creates or help to create the reason why, it seems like we're talking about all police officers, because the good ones, they don't speak up, or at least it seems like they are put in a position of where they cannot. I've
Well,
only heard of a couple of cases, not here in Springfield, unfortunately, not here in Springfield or Holyoke, but maybe in New York or something, where police officers did speak up. They did expose the bad apples, and they did. They lost their jobs, or they were reprimanded in some kind of crazy way, or I don't know the word to use, but in some kind of way that was sad and inappropriate. or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, what do we supposed to do? What do we supposed to do? We need the good officers to speak up and expose those few bad apples.
Let me push back and say I don't believe that if you maintain the blue wall of silence, if you refuse to expose your fellow officers that you know are violating people's rights, abusing folks, abusing their power, that you're a good cop. Just because you may not participate in the activity yourself,
Right.
when you protect those that do, far as I'm concerned, it's just like if I took you on a ride and if you took me to the bank and I didn't tell you what I was going to do, and I went into the bank and robbed it and ran out to the car and told you drive away, and you drove away, you were going to be arrested for conspiracy and arrested right along with me, even though you had nothing to do with it. That's what happens all the time. Yet these police officers can know that these cops are stealing drugs, stealing money, abusing people,
Well,
doing all kinds of dastardly deeds and not say anything and
I get it. I
not
understand.
good cop.
But at the same time, I mean, there are couples, married couples, where one spouse is out there committing crimes and the other spouse is oblivious and clueless to what.
Right. Well, that's different when you don't
But,
know.
no, but what I'm saying is there are cases where people are in the same field, or whatever the case may be, and they don't know. So that's all I'm saying.
I'm stating just for the record whenever people say it's only a few bad apples, I don't agree with that statement.
Oh, so you think it's
I don't agree.
a majority of bad apples?
Yeah,
You think
I don't
apples
agree.
are the majority?
I don't agree. There's a few bad. But that narrative basically says, in Springfield we got 500 cops. There's 5 bad ones, and they make everybody else. No, there's not just 5 bad apples. There's not just a few
Well,
bad.
we know that that's not true in Springfield. Not after
There's a whole bunch of bad apples. There are those that engage in the behavior, those that protect those that engage in the behavior, the investigative officers that cover up the behavior. I don't believe in these police departments. It's just a few bad apples. I think it's a few good cops. I used to parrot that same narrative. The vast majority of cops are good cops. They go out, they risk their life every day, yada yada yada. I don't believe that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in disagreement with either statement. I'm just saying that, I could understand her perspective. I think that's a she, you know.
Well, I'm not saying that their brother was not a good cop. I'm just saying
And I
that
mean,
the
I'm not
bad
either.
apples narrative.
I'm
I
not.
just don't like that. I just don't like that few bad apples narrative.
But I thought that she made some very interesting points, which I think are very relevant to the conversation, which was the fact that he was a cop in the community that he grew up in. Number one,
Well, that makes a difference. We've been pushing
yeah,
for that
that
forever.
made a big difference.
Yeah,
And he was college educated. Not to say that everybody needs to be college educated in that way, but I'm just saying. She said that he was college educated as opposed to a military background. That's what she was saying,
got it.
or whatever.
Understood.
And him being a resident and him policing the people that he grew up with, I think that made a big difference.
We've tried to push in this city forever, but when they negotiate with the police union, of course they push back on it. We've tried to get it so that cops are residents. There's a distinct difference when a police officer lives in the neighborhood or in the community that they police. They're going to treat the people differently because these are people who you might see in the grocery store, who your kids might go to school with, who you might see in the neighborhood, or so on and so forth. But when you're coming into Springfield from Enfield and Ware and Milford and other places, and this is just a 9 to 5, and I've heard cops call this the jungle. So they come in to work in the jungle for 9 hours, crack some black people upside the head, and they
And
go back
a lot,
to Ham or Amherst or somewhere where they don't ever have to see us again
right,
until they come back for the next shift.
absolutely. So when you're not a resident and you don't have that care and compassion for the community that you're serving, or whatever, you get to come to work into a community, kind of terrorize that community, and then go back to your community where you act totally different, or whatever. So yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Let me get. Oh, I thought I was going to get Black and Power, but Black and Power jumped off. So let me get David Costner. David, you got the microphone. Unmute your mic. You're in the building.
Yeah, the mic's on.
All right. What's happening?
Yeah, I just got a couple of things. I'm not being negative on this. I just want to make that loud and clear. I'm a white man too, and I do get chased by police officers and harassed. I go to my son-in-law's house. We carpool because we work out real far. I get Parma cops. As soon as they see me enter Parma, they'll follow me all the way to my son-in-law's apartment. And I get them pulling in and following me back. So, it goes both ways, but the media feeds off the negativity. That's what they drive off of. Now, as a black man, yes, I agree, they will be more harassed, but a lot of people all over get harassed. It's just not in the news because it's not a story. They want to make negativity to make it sound like it's black against white. It's not. All whites are not like that. The news, the media, and everybody else that has a different opinion.
Let me ask you a question. Whoever said all whites were like that?
Well, the whole thing is, why do black men run for police?
Yeah.
All right. Then I heard a couple other comments in there. Well, why do white men run from police?
I
don't understand your question, but let me just put it like this. How many times do you see white men running from police catching 16 bullets in the back? How many times do you see white men running from police who get 8 bullets in the back like a Walter Scott, or white men running from police? Let's just be real. Robert Cremo, who just on the 4th of July murdered 6 people on a rooftop, shooting people with a gun, that murdered 6 people, wounded 24 others, ran from police, took the police on a police chase. But he was arrested. He wasn't shot 90 times. Did he pose an imminent threat when they knew he was armed? I know he's armed. I know he just murdered 6 people and wounded 24 others. If that don't pose an imminent threat, I don't know what does. But he didn't catch 90 bullets like Jalen Walker did.
Right. I agree with you on everything. That's why I said don't take this into a negative thing. It's just, you got to understand, the media don't post what everything is going on.
Oh, I agree with you.
I see a lot of kids getting killed. I see a lot of black dudes getting killed.
Well.
Post the white to get the black. I'm just saying there's too much negativity with the police.
Yeah.
And it has to stop.
But
they have no right. They have no right.
David.
Shooting
But David. This is not just about the media. Can you imagine the number of police encounters that black people have that are never talked about on the media? In the media?
A lot.
Yeah. There's tons of, but let's just
it's not just police encounters. It's police.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's But let's be real about the statistical reality. The statistical reality is that black folks are 9 times more likely to be profiled by police than white folks. Black folks are 4 times more likely to be shot by police than white folks. Let's not just gloss over that and say white folks get harassed too. We know white folks get harassed by police. A lot of police are jerks.
Just like All Lives Matter.
Anybody, but let's not gloss over the reality that those more likely to be profiled, more likely to be stopped, more likely to be killed,
Killed.
routine traffic stop are black people.
Period.
End of story.
Period. David, am I to assume that you are white? And is your
Yeah, he said he was white. He's not on the
son-in-law black? Is your son-in-law black?
he's not on the stage anymore, babe. He's not.
Oh, okay. I'm assuming that the son-in-law might have been black.
Could have been.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been, but the thing is, no one ever said all white people are like anything. You know,
We would never something like that. Just like we, as black people, we can't say all black people are anything, or whatever.
and
So
talk about the reality of
never,
systemic racism.
we're talking about society,
See,
and how
that's the problem. The problem is a lot of our white brothers and sisters have this fragile shell
well, yeah.
where anytime you talk about anti-black racism, you talk about systemic racism, you talk about white supremacy, they feel targeted as if you're talking about them. You're talking about all
And
white people. That's the whole push. Let's get critical race theory out of the school. Let's not talk about this. Let's not talk about
that's my issue. That's
it.
my issue
It's
because really all they need to do, and this is for well intended white folks, which David sounds like that's who he is. Well intended white folks. What I think white folks need to know, instead of kind of getting defensive, or instead of being fragile, or kind of timid. I think what white folks need to know is that they should just validate, they should confirm the realities of
yes, yeah, just affirm it. Just stop
just
trying to
there
create
you
an alternate narrative.
there
That
you go.
stop trying to be what
There
we
you go. Because
do,
you
and
know
we get that too.
if we could change the narrative, we would. But we got to speak the truth of our reality. And so you
Nobody.
have to, in order for you to get it and to move on, you need to affirm it, confirm it, validate it, or whatever, and and get with the program.
Here's the reality: white privilege is not that white folks don't struggle, white folks don't get mistreated, white
Absolutely.
white folks will not get treated
They will not experience poverty. They will not
unjustly.
experience, right.
That white folks won't get treated bad. What it means is white folks will not get treated unjustly. They won't experience hardship and all of that because they're white.
And let me tell you something that I truly believe. Although CRT is new to them, or this fight for CRT, or to have the truth of history removed, from the books, or from, the archives, or whatever the case may be, that's gonna be a bigger problem for white folks and white children and white families, as opposed to us, because we know what our reality is, and we know the truth, and we've always had to fight against lies being told on us,
Yeah.
and our truth of our history and who we are as a people, as a race of people, that being didactic, and that being retracted, and all of those kinds of things, in the books, if you will. So that's going to be a bigger problem for white children who become adults. It's going to be a bigger problem for white folks if y'all allow, or if y'all jump on the bandwagon with CRT, you know, uh, protesters, and and all of that kind of thing.
Let me bring Rosalind Mickens up in here. Roz from the DMV. You got the microphone, Roz. Um,
How you doing, Bishop Swan? How are you, sir?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. I'm that Delta woman over here doing our thing in the community.
All right. Well, we well
Thank
we
you
got
for
a well
yes, sir.
we got a all D9 audience now. We got an iota right here. You're a delta. My wife's a zeta. Let's talk about it.
Come on.
All right, now that's what I'm talking about. That's what's up. So, I'm looking at what is our, as the D9, what is our obligation in the community in order to educate it and uplift our people collectively as D9 members. One of the things that I know and I understand, like the guy that just came in, he doesn't want to see reality for what it is. I suggest he join a coming to the table organization. That's a 501c3. They're throughout the country and primarily consists of both white and black people that come to the table and actually speak on the truth. And he needs to understand that truth. If he's not willing to do that, then he's not willing to face the truth for what it is. For us as D9, what are we willing to do? One of the things I'm telling my people is don't come into a situation as sheep into a gunfight. You cannot be sitting around unarmed, and when you can be armed, and because that's not. I mean, I'm a trainer. I'm a certified, licensed, and insured firearms trainer. You cannot come in and advertise that, hey, we don't believe in guns, because that's when the bully will harm you and your family. You cannot do that, family. So that's one of the things I wanted to say and contribute. And I just wanted to thank you, Bishop Swan, for having these Twitter spaces in the morning. I had my cup of coffee, so I'm all for it. Thank you so much, sir, and have a blessed day.
All right. Appreciate you. Appreciate you.
I really appreciate her bringing up the D9 and our responsibility, to our community, during these times. I think that's really important. I think I overheard you having a conversation with some of the IOTAs about this, and certainly the Zetas have always been about community service and serving our community. So we try to stay on top of all of those issues that are very pertinent to us. And we're also encouraged as individuals, to bring programs that help to elevate the community as well. So I tend to be very passionate about developing programs that create ways to educate the voter, certainly inspire the voter, and then after elections, continue to have conversations about what do you do, after you voted, how do you stay involved after you voted, how to cultivate the leaders that you want to see and vote for, and produce in your community. How all politics are certainly local, but education and information is extremely important about voting, because it's not just about going to the voting booth on election day. As we know, voting is ongoing. It's an ongoing process. You need to have information about who you want to vote for. You need to have strategies. You need to come together collectively and decide on, a person that you want to back, or certainly create the person that you want to back in respective positions. Black folks have a lot of power, and so they spend a lot of time keeping us from voting. Voter suppression is real, even in a state like ours, even in a city like ours, in Springfield, Massachusetts, which is a big blue state, or whatever. But we've elected Republican governors. We have one now. many times. And we certainly elect Republicans in different parts of the state, although we tend to be a majority blue state or whatever the case may be. But nevertheless, again, voter suppression is real. And then this thing, and I'm still not quite sure how to verbalize it or express it, but this thing about our humanity, as people, and not being viewed and not being treated the same as other people in our society. That's a big problem. So we try to stay on top of all of those issues that are pertinent, that are relevant to us, to our community, to our people. And so if it's not about elevation, I won't have nothing to do with it. So
Well, I will say, as both the national chaplain and also the national social action director for Iota Phi Theta, um, I know that the D9 is serious about taking on these issues that are pertinent to our people. I have a counterpart in all of the D9 organizations, and we meet on a monthly basis to talk about social action strategies and addressing these particular issues. So I know that our organizations are very serious around making a difference and an impact. As a matter of fact, all of the Divine Nine fraternities recently had a day on Capitol Hill where we were lobbying legislators around issues of importance for Black people. So we're in the house. We're trying to do what we can. Listen, people, we got to move out of your way. Not that we're in the way. Enjoyed the conversation on today. I know that y'all still want to keep going because I got a bunch of requests in the Twitter space to try to get on, and I'm not going to be able to get to you all because my time has expired. But be on the lookout for the next time around. Lord willing, you know how we say in the church, the Lord will, did the Lord say the same. We'll see you on next Monday. 9 a.m. starts the spoken word, 10 a.m. starts justice and flow. If you're looking for a place to worship and you're in the 413, check us out at 35 Alden Street, Springfield, Massachusetts, 11 o'clock a.m. And those of you who are online, you can catch us streaming. Somebody said, I could join your church. Listen, if you're not in the area, you can become an e-member, okay? You can become a e-member, a digital member. We appreciate you so very much for however you support or connect with our ministry. Appreciate you all so very, very, very much. All right, final words. Flo.
we'll be back next week, and more than likely, I'm not sure yet. I'm still confirming, but we'll probably have a special guest with us on next week.
All right, y'all. Until the next time we talk to y'all and y'all talk to us, always remember God loves you, and so do we. Deuces.
God bless you. I love y'all.